Hello, this is so exciting. Hi, y'all. Happy Saturday morning to you. I hope you're ready to talk some careers with, coffee in hand. Of course, I have my coffee with me. I mean, you guys, this is not the first of the day. Let's just be real about that right now. So thank you all for joining my first LinkedIn Live. Today, I thought I would just go over a little bit of my story. Oh, hi everyone. Sorry. So fun fact, I'm just going to give you like behind the scenes of LinkedIn Live. I can stream from one computer. I can't see your comments on it. So how like Inception is this? I have you over here. So hi, Sonia. Hi, Ian. How's it going? Hi, is it Eris? You guys, I hope I'm saying names right. And yeah, good afternoon to those of you who are somewhere else, or good morning tomorrow, It could be whatever time where you are. So first, I just wanted to let you know a little bit about what I want this to be. Right now, I am thinking this show is going to be every other Saturday morning, maybe a couple of other times here and there, but mainly Saturday mornings. And in upcoming weeks, I have guests. I have different people coming on and joining me because I want this to be similar to doing an informational interview. So those of you who follow me on YouTube know I am huge on the informational interview. Basically, what it means when people say like, oh, you got to get coffee with people. If you want a job, you got to get a coffee with somebody, take coffees. In entertainment, that's what they'd say, take coffees. You don't take them, but whatever. And essentially, those coffees are informational interviews where you ask somebody about their career. What do they like? What do they wish they knew in the beginning? How did they get started, etc. So in the upcoming weeks, I have people coming on from all different industries, all different levels, because I want to model for you an idea of what those interviews, those coffees should be like. And I truly believe we can learn anything from other people's story. Like there's always something to learn from someone else's story. I think we all have things to share and teach. And ooh, that went real high. And we all have things to learn from one another. So with that said, let me say hi to a couple other people. Hi, Chrissy. I had a feeling you were going to be here. I saw you've been active this morning on LinkedIn. So let me see if I have any other notes. Nope. So first off, I am going to take questions. So if you have any career-related questions or just have questions about me based on things I'm about to say, like if you have follow-ups, please leave those in the comments. I'm just going to be looking over here to figure this out. Aris, thank you for that phonetic spelling. That's going to come up you're going to see why that's important to me in a second. Sorry, checking names. So I will look at them over here. I need to drop the pen because I'm playing without way too much. But I just want to share with you a little, I'm essentially going to interview myself. That's weird, but that's how we're starting. So questions I will ask in upcoming weeks are things like, what do you do currently? So for me currently, I am a career consultant and coach. I work full-time at a university in California. You can see it on my LinkedIn profile, but I also coach people on the side. I've also started coaching creative entrepreneurs in LinkedIn because there's all these creatives that are not on LinkedIn because they think it's not for them. So I'm teaching that too. But my main thing is career strategy, job search strategy. I'm very practical. So there are some people you'll go to who are like the motivator people. I have found the best way to give career advice is to give you the practical tips to succeed. I think our confidence goes up when we have knowledge. And so my goal is to impart practical knowledge, like the strategies behind a resume, the strategies behind interviewing, practical things you can put into place immediately to up your game in the job search process and get the career you want, and therefore build confidence in the process. So what that means I make videos for you all on YouTube. I also put them here on LinkedIn. That means I'm with students all day, giving them career advice, and because college is just that time where you're like I don't know what the heck I want to do. And I think there's a lot of myths out there of what you're supposed to know in college. We might talk about that another day. And I also do workshops. I do workshops at universities on networking because it's so important getting jobs. I do workshops on LinkedIn. I do workshops on interviewing, on resumes, etc. So anything related to career, I do a workshop on. Professionalism workshops, all of that. And same with talking to people one-on-one about those things. The way I got into this is because I used to work in entertainment. And in that, I started searching for what I wanted to do next. And there was a lot of advice in career guides that was really frustrating because it didn't fit what was going on in my career situation, where I was working, what I was doing. Some of the advice out there was just not possible. And I wish someone had been a little more honest about how hard that process, that job search process can be. Like, I'll be the one to be controversial and say it. If you want to take coffees with people, you might not have a boss who's okay with that, so you're calling in sick, right? Like, it's a thing, but people don't talk about that. And so I wanted to give people the real deal advice, like the real world version of career advice. Also, I was just super fascinated by it. And I started to realize all my other friends weren't as interested in how to write a good resume as I was. So I thought, maybe this is something I should do. That is coupled with the fact that when I was in college, I was very career driven. I focused the whole time on, number one, figuring out what the heck I wanted to do, and then number two, getting to that step. So even in the part-time jobs I had, it was very much a balance of customer service and administrative, because I knew my first job out, they'd want someone with administrative experience. So I made sure I went and got that. Then I had 2 internships, one for a location event manager. It's like such an LA job. We represented locations for TV, film, and special events. So the giant house that Paul Rudd owns on Parks and Rec that has a bowling alley in it, I've done like 3 parties at that house. So that was my job, was to go around all these mansions in LA. Then I worked at On Air with Ryan Seacrest as a production intern, and it was like a dream of 6 months. And to this day, I still like wax poetic about that time in my life. It was just so much fun. And from there, worked my way into really worked my way into entertainment, networked to get into entertainment. And sometimes I think career options can come up from one conversation or one sentence. So for me, that was a friend who we had just graduated and she was going another route. Both of us have been very involved on campus. She with orientation, me in the leadership, like associated student space, also an admissions counselor or admissions receptionist to the admissions counselors on campus. And my friend looked at me and said, "Hey, did you know you could get a degree in this student affairs thing and like work at colleges and be like RRDs?" We'd never connected the idea that these adults around us and what we saw them do, we could do it too, which is something I think is very real. I see it every day with the people I work with. Like, you don't always connect what that person's doing. I could do it too. So she says this to me and I went, that sounds really interesting. Like, I kind of want to do that. But no, I have worked too hard towards this entertainment route. I have to go that way. And I did. I worked at Wheel of Fortune and Jeopardy! Then I worked at Just Wheel of Fortune, casting contestants for a living. So I would go all over the country and hold auditions. And then day of show, the contestant team would produce the contestants day of. I would write Pat Sajak's cards, and then I would go talk to him ahead of time to make sure he pronounces all names right. So Aris, that's why it matters so much to me, because I spent 5 years making sure I was always pronouncing names correctly and then making sure Pat Sajak did as well. So I'm very big on pronunciation of names. So I taught people how to do that for a living. And then I needed something new to do and started looking around at other jobs in entertainment Spent 2 years doing other things. And in that time was when I started reading all these career guides and debating what to do. And that whole time, since that conversation with my friend at 23, I had thought, that sounds really interesting. I kind of want to do what she's doing. Because my friend took that path. She went and got the master's. She went and ended up being director of orientation at our alma mater. And fun fact, she has now made a career pivot and is a nurse. But during those years, I went, oh, if I could do it again, like if you got a second life, I would go do what she did. I would go that direction. And I finally, in this 2-year period, went, yep, 2 years have gone by already. If getting a master's is what it takes, I'll go get a master's. And so I picked up everything, like picked up a life and moved to Texas and went to Baylor and got my master's in higher education and student affairs, and then came back to my hometown, which was by accident, but there's a huge university in my hometown. And so that's where I ended up getting a job that fit really nicely for me. So that is kind of my short version of the story. Sorry, I'm checking your comments over here. And I would say one thing the key takeaway I want people to know from my story is you can change your mind. Like, for sure, I teach clients this all the time. There is not one passion for most people. Most of us are going to be interested in more than one thing. So it is okay to be interested in a couple things and pursue them. And when one takes off, you go down that path. The example I give to everybody, and this is just how much I want to prove it, to be transparent with everyone, is I went down the path of student affairs because TV, things just weren't happening anymore. I, to this day, though, say I would be just as happy being a segment producer on Jimmy Kimmel as I am in career. The issue is I had general meetings with the executive producer of Jimmy Kimmel. I had a friend who worked at Jimmy Kimmel, and the timing was never right. It never came together. Like, they even kind of started to say, like, hey, what about her for something? And I had just gotten another job. I couldn't back out. So sometimes it's just, you're supposed to be one place instead of another. And I truly, the only reason I say that, because it could sound like, oh, she said she didn't get that job. No, my point is I am happy and satisfied in my life, but I also realize there are other paths. So choose one, see where it takes you, try it. And when it ends for some reason, either because you're dissatisfied or hitting a wall or whatever, you can pivot, you can turn and try something else like I did, and you can be just as happy or more happy in the new thing. But there's more than one path for everyone. I hate the find your passion stuff. We have more than one passion. So let me see. What else do I want to let you know? So another question I'm going to ask everyone is, what do you love about what you do? So what I love about what I do is I love getting to teach. I love taking what I have learned and letting others know the same. So I love getting to teach people, and I love building that confidence. It's really fun for me to hear people go, either in one-on-one sessions, like, okay, I feel better now. Like, that was, yeah, I get what I'm supposed to do now. That was helpful. You would hope it would be. And I love seeing comments on YouTube, on LinkedIn, the messages I get saying, thank you so much, I got the job. Like, it kind of even blows, I know the advice I'm giving is right, but it still blows my mind, the emails and messages and DMs I get every day with people saying, you know, your advice helped so much. I wanted to let you know I got the job, or I went into that, I was brave and went to that networking event, or I asked the scary question in the interview, whatever. Like, all those things make me super excited and super pumped. Then my first job. So I want to tell you about my first job, because I think we can all learn something from people's first, like, full-time jobs. I think no matter how bored you are in that first job, you can learn something. So my first job was marketing assistant at Wheel of Fortune and Jeopardy. And this was I'm talking, I started, I think, 3 months before MySpace became giant. Facebook was out, but it still was with college students only. And so Marketing was a pretty well-oiled machine at this point at Wheel. It was deals and contests with other companies. It was prizes of trips to like viewers. There wasn't, so my point being, like, social wasn't a business thing yet. And so I didn't really have a lot to do. And that was hard. And that was especially hard after, if you were that college student who worked your butt off, was involved on campus, had internships, held the part-time job. I mean, I think at one point I was doing 19 units, working 12 hours a week, and doing an internship 2 days a week. Like, you're used to a lot on your plate. Getting out in the world and finding out that everyone's not that busy all the time, it's kind of like such a disconnect to you. It was hard. But I look back now and I think that's kind of just what a lot of first jobs are. I heard somebody the other day saying they graduated in May, they started their first full-time job, but they're not satisfied and they're not fulfilled and all this stuff. Y'all, if you're super fulfilled by your entry-level job, like, kudos to you, because most of the time that is a foot in the door to be around people who can teach you and help you get to your next steps. So don't be surprised if you're not in love with your first job. Now, it did teach me, I don't think I'm a great assistant. I wasn't bad. I think they thought I was fine, but I realized it's just not for me. And I wanted something where I interacted with a lot more people. So when the contestant position came up and they called me, that was super exciting because I really liked working with contestants. Now, the interesting thing. So not my first job, but my second job, I was promoted within a year of starting. I have worked in casting, I have worked in recruiting, and now I work on the career coaching side. And interestingly, the through line is taking people and putting them in the right spot. So not everyone is a good contestant, but I get to look out there and see, or I did get to look out there and see who would be a good fit and take them and put them on the show. So I think, and then I went recruiting and did the same thing. And then I went on the career side. I now talk with people and think through, okay, would you be good for this position? Would you be good for that position? You know, I think they'd be good over here, over there. So it's interesting because as I'm farther in my career, I'm seeing this through line that when I first started, I had no clue. I didn't realize that was something I was good at. I was just doing a job that seemed interesting. So just know you'll be able to kind of look back and see these connecting threads along the way. If you're early in your career right now, want to give you that encouragement. So let me know if you have any questions, put them in the comments. Let me see if there's anything else I want to talk about. And Madeline, you're welcome. Oh, Victor, Colombia. Hello, greetings. You guys, did you see Gary Vee did his first live yesterday? Like, we're just as lit as that 13-minute live. So many people on a Saturday morning. Love it. I saw there were a couple of questions. Sonia, I think, had questions. Introvert me prefers working in solitude more to focus on the busy things. I tend to like helping. So many people become overwhelmed easily over smaller things. Okay. Okay, Sonia asked, she's always wanted to know how to perfect the resume. However, she has a hard time with wording. It's not up to you to do the wording. So first off, there is no such thing as a perfect resume, and everyone is going to give you different resume advice. What I suggest is, or the things I'm about to suggest are things that work across the board. Like, this will never get you thrown in the trash. Whereas sometimes other people will give advice that it could work for one niche or one set of companies, but everybody else will hate it, and you don't know which ones those are. So I think it's important to stay with a traditional resume. None of these columns, please no picture at the top. And play with your formatting. Use more than bold, but stay consistent. If education and experience and skills are bold, make your company names all caps, and then make your titles something different again, like all caps and bold, or italics and all caps. So something to change it up. Then, as for the wording, you don't really need to do the wording. So the formula, if you want to write this down, is action verb plus the task plus how or why. And then if you can make it awesome, you add a result. But not all of us have a result to add to every bullet point. So that's how you're going to put the words together. But your resume changes every time you apply for a job because it should always match that job description. So if you are on LinkedIn or Indeed, please do not use those easy apply buttons. You need to take the time to reformat your resume using the words in their job description. So it's going to feel close to plagiarism because sometimes you are not going to use just one word. You're going to use like a 3-word phrase. But you want to try and incorporate as many words in that job description into your bullet points as possible. So don't worry about the wording because you're going to use their wording in that action verb plus task plus how or why bullet point formula. Any other questions? I'm waiting. There's like a delay, y'all. Let me know too. There's quite a few of you watching right now. What is someone, I put this in the description too. Is there anyone that you would love for me to interview in the future? I have a wish list. But let me know if there's someone that you really respect or someone's career story that you've heard that you think is really interesting. And if you want me to interview them in the future, I would be happy to reach out and try, right? Can't hurt. So let me know if there's someone you're interested in. And I think that's it. I'd love to take questions, but if you guys don't have questions, that's fine. It can be career related. It can be some part of my story. It could be what kind of coffee am I drinking? Let me know what you think. Let me see if I missed any up at the top. Oh, there we go. Okay, sorry, it was not showing me. Okay. Madeline, heading into 3rd interview with more leaders to get buy-in from them. What can I do to stay calm and keep showing them I'm confident in the job? I don't know why I'm having a hard time reading today. So 3rd interview, whole 3rd one. So this one, if it's with other leaders in the company, I have a feeling this is going to be more just to get to know you and see if you'd be a good fit for the team. Go in with the same confidence you hopefully went in for the first 2 interviews, right? Refresh your memory on the answers you gave before. Refresh your memory on your tell me about yourself answer because you're probably going to be asked that again. I have videos on that. I'll try and link those in the comments of this after, but I have a video on calming interview nerves and a video on 2nd interviews, and it would work for 3rd interviews as well. But essentially, what you need to do is be prepared with those key points that you've talked about in other interviews. And be prepared to say, tell me about yourself and why you're interested, but also be prepared to have to give new examples. So if there are people in the room who were in the other interviews, you might have to share something a little different, like a different example that also reinforces that point. So if it's, why do you want to work here? Give an example of why you want to tell them why you want to work there. You can touch on the example you gave last time and then give them a different example. Hopefully that helps. Okay. Carlos. Any advice for networking approaches other than getting coffee or ask for a 20-minute informational interview? So Carlos, those are my favorite ways, is to say like, hey, even 10 minutes on the phone would be great. Or or getting coffee. I think networking, it doesn't have to be, so if you want other approaches, it can be breakfast, it can be lunch. My point being, that's where you dig deeper on a relationship. So there's tons of other networking approaches. Some of the people in here, like on this feed right now, are people I've met through networking. And we've met at events, right? We've met at conferences. Some of us we've met online through different Facebook groups and things. That's a touch point. The coffee, the longer phone call or Zoom or whatever, that's where it becomes more of a relationship. And then after that, there should be other approaches and touch points, birthday cards, text messages, quick little things you can do, comments on their LinkedIn posts, etc. Those sorts of things are follow-ups and other technical approaches. But they are not the deep building work. So I am all about going to a networking event. I had on and off been doing a networking tip Tuesday series here on LinkedIn. It's going to start up again soon with just quick tips of how to network at in-person events, different strategies for that. So I'm all about going to events and networking there. But what I think is interesting is people go to those events and they grab a bunch of business cards and they're like, oh my gosh, I totally networked. No, you didn't. You got business cards. The networking is the follow-up. And I will be honest, even I'll go to events and I'll get 50 business cards. I stay in touch with about 5 of those people because that's all most of us can handle, right? So just know that's kind of why I focus on coffees or some sort of in-person meeting, because it's the place where the relationship goes deeper than that small talk conversation at a mixer, at a conference, etc. Madeline, they've been big on repeating questions. Yeah. Oh, hi from New Orleans. Do you guys just eat beignets all the time? Is that just in my head? Because I feel like you do. Any other questions? I'm going to give a last call or else we'll all move on with our Saturday. But thank you so much for joining me on a Saturday. I hope this time works for people. If there are other times you'd like, leave those in the comments below. Y'all, clearly, I'm open to suggestions right now. So we can format this and change this and figure it out as we go. So let me know in the comments. Thanks all for hanging with me, and I will see you in a couple weeks. Bye.